Welcome, everyone, to the Holstein House podcast. I'm the West Virginia woman, Robin, of RobinHolstein.com and Holstein House, where my guests get a great night's sleep at a fair rate plus breakfast. This is a podcast that looks at society and culture issues affecting families in West Virginia and the United States, from food preparation and storage, gardening, home repairs, current events, and more. We'll go around the table and back in 60 minutes or less. So let's hang out and talk a while.
Sorry. We'll see. Hopefully the music played for you. I could not hear it on my end. I don't know if there's a problem. I tried turning the volume up. It didn't want to go up. So I hope you heard it. It's me. It's Robin here at Holstein House. And I just wanted to come in really and do an end of the year live with you. Let me see if I can get this over here. Hopefully we're streaming everywhere we need to go. Facebook, when I checked it just a minute ago, did not. I'm trying to get down here to say hello to everyone. And so I'm not sure if it's posting to YouTube and or not YouTube, but to Facebook. If not, hopefully you'll find me on YouTube, because I did put a note over there that if it didn't stream, to come on over to the YouTube channel, and it should be streaming there. And it looks like it is, so we'll see. I was also going to stream to TikTok, because I don't think I've ever streamed live to TikTok, and then it wanted facial recognition or me to show my proof of ID to prove that I'm over 18 or something insane. I don't know how that doesn't work, but then it wanted facial recognition, and it didn't like it at all either. So I don't know. Let's see. If you can hear me, hopefully you can. If you hear me, please signal, either with a thumbs up or a smiley face or something that lets me know that the volume is working or the audio is working. We've come to the end of 2025. No surprise to you. If you're watching live, you know that this is the last day of December 2025, and everybody everywhere are doing their end of the year look backs and look forwards and resolutions. I don't really do resolutions. Every now and again, I'll think, well, it is an opportunity for a new beginning. For those, if we're trying to make changes in our lives, and you really can do that at any time. I don't restrict myself to just the new year or just to Mondays or things like that. So, but I did want to take some time and kind of reminisce over the past year. It's been a busy one here at Holstein House. We did not have a lot of guests here this year, which is unfortunate, but we did have a lot going on between my dad and things over at his place, things here, just generally, church, and a nonprofit that I'm working with, Jericho House, trying to help them out with some things, and the container garden, and the chickens and ducks and the dogs and the cats and all the things like that. I did start out with quite a few things. If you've followed me very long, you know that I am a fan of container gardening, and I did start a lot of plants off of scraps this year. It sounds like an odd place to start talking about things today, but I just don't know how this is supposed to work. I don't know. Um, I don't know how to find comments here on Clapper. So if you're watching on Clapper, I'm really a novice at using it. So please understand when you pop in that I've not used it live either before or since I started. I think maybe when I first signed up with it years ago, I did one, but I didn't. I didn't do another one. So I'm not sure um, how it's going to work. But please say hello over there on Clapper and let me know you're there. But it seems like an odd place to start with a using the kitchen scraps to start a garden. But that's one of the easiest things to do. And I really found it enjoyable last year to take some onions, some green onions, bunching onions, and just clip them down at the base and leave about that, leave a little bit of the white, leave the root ball on there, of course, and put them in a little cup of soil. And I just used old fast food drive-through cups, put some soil in them and planted them and put them in my kitchen window. And as they continued to grow, I would clip off what I needed. If they grew more than what I needed, as with the leeks, I did some leeks that way, used the green all except about a little bit so that it could do its photosynthesis, and, put them in the kitchen window. And they would get very tall in between uses. And so I would trim them and I would dry them, dehydrate them. It was really fun because all through the winter, out of my kitchen window, I still had some fresh seasonings, not enough really to make a meal, but to supplement and add to what I had going on, and to dry for my spice shelf and things like that. So I had a continuous supply of things that way. Let's see, I did leeks, I did onions, I did parsley because I got a live bunch of parsley at the store and then planted it. I did start some parsley and grew it. Oh, what else did I do? Oh, turnips. I bought a turnip, and I'm not a big turnip fan, but I bought a turnip and I cut the cap off of it, the top off of it, where the greens come. And I put it in a small cup the same way and used it to grow turnip greens. And I used those greens to supplement other things that I had. And each little bit helps. And it helps us learn how things, if you've never tried it before, it helps us learn how things grow. And it helps us learn how things taste. And it helps us learn how to dry and put food back. So these are fun little ways to do vegetables. Carrot tops. I was so proud of my carrot tops last year. I bought organic. And you don't have to get organic, but if you're buying organic, it tends to be, less treated with chemicals and things. It doesn't mean none at all, but there's a list of approved chemicals that are used on them, and you can only use so much. And there's a whole long rule about it. But I cut the carrots, obviously to use, and I cut about, you always leave a little bit because they've got to be able to process sunlight into nutrition so that it can grow. So you always need to leave a little bit of green on your plant tops. So I planted those, and I used the taller carry-out cold cups, like a large or an extra large soft drink cup, plastic cup from usually McDonald's because it's close. I don't go there that often, but it doesn't take, because if you don't throw them away, it doesn't take long to gather, a dozen or two. I use those for the carrots because the roots could grow deeper. And I tried an experiment to see if those roots would get orange, but they didn't. But the carrot top did grow roots, but it never did grow a true carrot again. But the carrot tops you can use like parsley. So I would have these beautiful carrot tops in my kitchen window. And I would clip those, not all of them. You always want to leave a little bit. I'd clip those back and I'd let them dry, and I'd put them in a jar and mark it, carrot tops. I know that you can use it like parsley. So some folks have parakeets and parrots and things that like to that like to eat carrot tops, and they're wonderful to have around for that as well. So that was fun doing that. I bought an organic, and some of you guys would have seen it. I bought an organic sweet potato. Actually, I bought more than one, but I ate one. So I bought an organic sweet potato, and I set it up in some water, and I have a video on what happened with it. So if you want to go to the YouTube and you want to look that up, you can go to YouTube and go to Robin Holstein on YouTube, and you'll find that. I sprouted that sweet potato. And so you get little vines, and they're called slips, and that works the same way with a white potato or a russet potato, whatever type. But I wanted to use the sweet potato. And I let the slips get at about 8-10 inches, and I trim them off, and you want to leave a good bit of the sweet potato meat on it at the bottom as well. But once they get fairly long, then you cut those off. And I put those in a bag of soil. I have some grow bags that I've had for many years. And so when it was time to plant things out this year, I took these slips and I put them in a grow bag of soil. And with a potato, when they grow, and then they sprout some leaves, and then you put some more soil on them, and they grow, and you sprout some leaves. So I continue to do that like you would with any other potato. And at the end of the year, and there's video evidence of this on my YouTube and on my Rumble channels. I had about 8 pounds of sweet potato, and I still have it. I should have brought it over here to show you, but it's in a bag in the dark, so it's not going to go bad through the winter. But it's a 4-pound potato. It's really a 4-pound sweet potato, and I gave some away, obviously, and I've cooked them, and they were wonderful. And it was just crazy from that $1 or $1.50 sweet potato. I put it, like I said, I put it in a jar, not down in a jar, but you put it in a jar to where it can sprout roots, and then it grows, and you cut the slips. And I mean, I got pounds and pounds of sweet potatoes. So these are fun things that you can do in the house all year long. I didn't do so many sprouts last year or this past year as I've done in the past, because I just didn't have time. They don't take long to do, but you can't walk away from them on like the 3rd or 4th day, because then they'll mold and get gross. And so if you're going to do them, you got to plan to do them so that you're there with them and you can watch for these things. So I didn't do any seed. I'd planned on it. Maybe I can get to that this year, but that I didn't even try that, so that didn't go bad. Let's see what else. Oh, so the container garden. I bought an arch and what I did, which ended up being a mistake, I planted loofah. Now you know what loofah is. It's like a squash. It's in the squash family, and I planted it so that I could dry them to use. You use loofah in the shower. It's the same kind of loofah you get in the health and beauty department at the store. And I was growing my own. Friend Julie sent me the seeds, and I started those. Well, the arch that I bought wasn't strong enough. These things were humongous, and they weighed a ton, and they toppled the arch in a windstorm. It didn't tear it up, but I had to reinforce it. Luckily, the plant didn't die, so I was able to keep it going all year. But I probably got 4 or 5 dozen of these, yard 3 feet long loofah. I've got a brown shopping bag full of dried loofah that I need to do something with. I'd hoped to do them. I was going to put them in. I have some melt and pour soap. I was going to cover them with soap and put some string like a soap on a rope for Christmas, and I just didn't have time to do it. I just didn't get it done. So maybe I can get it done during the lull of winter and see what happens there. But I did learn that I'm going to have a stronger arch if I plant loofah again. Oh, and back to the sweet potato just briefly. The sweet potato vine is beautiful. And I also have that. I have that on the Facebook, and I have it on YouTube, and I have it on Rumble. Looking at the vine and how pretty it is. The one that I had, and I guess they all are, was a gorgeous blue color. It reminds me a lot of a morning glory. And you can use the leaves like spinach. You can use the flowers like you do, yellow squash flowers. You can eat the flowers. You can eat the leaves. The leaves can be a little bitter, so you want to blanch them before you use them. So they're really tasty in a salad, and you can use, like I said, you can use the leaves like spinach, so you can put them in a manicotti. And so they were gorgeous. So that vine, the sweet potato vine, will do better on the arch that I bought, because that vine is not heavy. The fruit that you're getting off actually is a tuber, so there's no fruit on it to weigh that vine down. So I already know that next spring, when I plant the sweet potato slips, they're going on that arch. The loofah have to go on a much stronger arch. Let's see. Oh, Swiss chard. This is the first year I grew Swiss chard. It did very well. It likes cooler weather, but so by the time it got to be summer, it was still hanging in there, and it was back where it was really kind of shaded, so it wasn't as bad. But it didn't like the heat, so it's a cooler plant like your kales and your spinach. I did grow a little spinach. It didn't last very long. The chickens tore it up. Chickens like the spinach. Peas, I raised peas this year. I've never raised peas before. So these are all things that I've tried the first time this year. The peas they need a trellis of some sort. The trellis I used was a little too short, so I was struggling as the peas were getting taller, and my trellis wasn't. I need something taller for them. So this year I'll do something different. This year coming, I'll do something different for the peas. I'm trying to think in my mind how the container garden, and these are all container vegetables that I did. Except the loofah. The loofah I actually direct sowed in the ground, just one plant, and I'm glad that was all I had was one plant, because two would have just wore me out. And again, for those of you who are just popping in, and I see a few people waving and they're just popping in, I'm Robin Holstein with Holstein House. And this is my channel. And ever so often I post a video up. I used to do a lot more lives than I've been able to do in the last year. I was doing them a couple times a week. It got to be a little too much because of life and things. But I'm in West Virginia, USA. If you happen to stumble across me in the interwebs, as one of our presidents used to say, interwebs, and don't know, I do host through Airbnb and through direct booking a room in my house for travelers. So this is Holstein House, and that's where it gets its name, Holstein House, because it's a small Airbnb, a traditional Airbnb where you stay in the home. It's not like a Gucci Airbnb where you're over there in the fancy part all by yourself with a what do they call a never-ending pool or never-ending swimming pool, or I don't know what it's called. But anyway, it's not like that. You can find me online if you want to look it up and find me. But I do a container garden, and I'm a micro homestead. And that's why I'm talking about these things. I'm a micro homestead, and I like to share my adventures and my trials and my failures with my small homestead. And what I'm saying is a homestead, why I'm calling it a micro homestead, is because I'm in a suburban community and I have a small lot I don't have acres. I don't have acres of land. I have a small lot. I do a container garden. I have chickens. I have ducks. I sell their eggs. I don't raise chickens and ducks for meat, so it's not, it's not, I don't do butchering. So it's just it's the homestead, it's the Airbnb, it's the chickens and the ducks. And the dogs and the cats, but the dogs and the cats don't contribute. They just eat the dog foods and the cat food. But I used to do a couple of videos a week, and it just got to be a little much in trying to juggle everything else. I still take care of my father in that I take him to his doctor's appointments. I run some errands for him. He's still able to take care of himself for the most part. So he doesn't need, well, my sister lives with him, but I don't have to be over there all the time. But we were discussing the container garden. And so I've gotten through, so I ended up with just tremendous amount of different variety of sweet peppers. My husband, yes, I'm married. My husband sometimes works in Indiana. He has a friend out there that has a nice greenhouse and will share plants with us towards the end of, it's not the end of the growing season, but the end of his sales season. So he grows them for sale to the local community. And when they're just about to grown, just about to the point where you got to plant them or pitch them, if my husband's working in Indiana at that time, he will box them up, put them in a box and hand them to my husband and say, here, take these home. So we have gotten some wonderful plants from him. His first name's Al. And Al, if you trip across this, thank you so much. One of my favorite things that he has ever sent to us was a Jersey Devil tomato. And this ends up being a huge plant. I've had tomatoes as big as my palm. They're not round. They're kind of pepper shaped, kind of heart. I don't know what kind of shape you would call it. Kind of almost like a Roma where they're long, but I had the one that was so big was really heart shaped, and I have a video about it too. It's a couple of years old. The video, it's out there. They're an all-purpose tomato. They're very meaty. They taste wonderful. They taste like summer. 2025 was not the year for tomatoes for me. So I did get some tomatoes. I didn't get the abundance that I had gotten the year before. That maybe soil. It may not have been the best soil for them this year. I know I have to rotate things. So this past year, I had quite a few different types of pepper plants, sweet pepper plants. I had a couple that were mildly hot, not like jalapeno hot or ghost pepper hot, but they were kind of just a little bit hot, just a tad, just enough to wake you up. So most of my stuff this year, and my green beans, always have green beans, bush beans, and pole beans. Most of the stuff has been above ground, so I need some tubers. I need some root vegetables this year. I need to rotate some things that way. So I have to remember that when I'm planting my garden. He actually brought so many, I couldn't take care of all of them because it is a container garden. I only have so many appropriately sized ones and so much soil. So I did the best I could. Oh, he also brought some castor plants. I don't like those. I don't like them. I'm not a fan of castor anyway. But we tried the plants because supposedly they're going to help keep the roots, the scent of the roots and stuff. I don't know, are supposed to keep mice and vole and rats and underground things away. But these things grew. I'm 5.5 foot. These things had to have gotten 6.5 feet tall. The beans, the seed pods, the beans are toxic to my dogs and to my chickens, so I don't really want those. I ended up trying to, because the pods will explode open and then the seeds go everywhere. I tried to cover those. I don't think the dogs or cats got into any of them. But then they're almost like a small tree. The trunks got really, really big. I just don't like them. I don't like them. If you've ever raised them, please comment. I'd love to hear from you. He brought back cabbage. I wasn't prepared for cabbage. Cabbage needs cover, needs a net on it. So to keep the cabbage, it's a cabbage moth. I think it's called a cabbage moth off of them. Because the moth lays the eggs and then the worms get in it. And so they were just ruined because I didn't have what I needed. So he just brings all this stuff home. I wasn't ready. I didn't have time to go chase down the stuff. I had never planned to grow cabbage anyway. If he thinks he's going to bring any back this year, I need to get some of proper cloth and to cover the plant. Let's see what else. Peppers and cabbage and potatoes and tomatoes. Beans, my beans did okay. They weren't that great. They usually aren't that great. It's usually just a few. It's not enough to put away. Like I'm not going to home can, quarts and quarts of beans. Kale. Oh, kale did real well. I like kale. Let's see what else. I've still got a couple stalks out in the yard now. Just watching them, kind of an experimental thing to see if they can make it through the winter because they are a cold weather plant. And our winters get tough, but I mean, there's places where it gets really worse, so it's not that bad. I can't think of what else as far as that. I didn't have masses and masses of things, so I have a small home canner. It's a small aluminum canner I got. I want to think it's a West something. Anyway, it only holds 5 quart jars. So it's not very big. It's for small batches. And that's what I did. I mean, I did a few batches of home canning, and that's fine. And that's another reason why I like to share with people. You don't need big acreage to be a homesteader. You just need the desire to be more self-sufficient than you have been in the past. You can home can small batches of stuff. You can home can batches of stuff that you get on sale at the store. You can home can, you can freeze, you can dehydrate, you can do all of these things on a smaller scale, but you're still putting things away for the future and you're still hedging against inflation. Home canning and home preservation of food is a big thing for me. I may have more than I'll ever eat. Unfortunately, that's not necessarily a good thing because there can still be some spoilage if things sit too long, like meats. If you home can meats and you don't eat them right away, they can get rancid. I mean, I'm not talking about botulism, but I mean, you can get that if you don't can them properly. But if you have like canned beef, home canned beef, and there's fat in it, the fat can go rancid even though it's not exposed just because of age. So there's a balance. There's a balance of your time and your effort, your planning, your menus, and things like that we all have to get to when we're homesteading. If you just have a desire to take care of yourself in some way, and whether you could be knitting, you could be making your own clothes, sewing, raising chickens and selling eggs, to supplement your income. These are all things that can be considered as a small homestead. I mentioned before that I will sometimes sprout things, sprout seeds so that to add to salads and things and that's a way of, because sprouts have really highly condensed energy in them, nutrition in them, and so they pack a big punch nutritionally for their size. And that's something that we can all really do. We just have to take the time. I've got videos on that too. I may revisit that this year. Let's see. As far as the garden, I think that's really about it, other than cleaning it up and stuff. And you're not interested in cleaning up the garden. One thing that I do, and it doesn't really benefit me. It kind of does, but it doesn't. Have you ever bought a farmer's almanac? Now, there's one of them. There's a couple different brand names. It's kind of like bandages. You call them a farmer's almanac, but they're like different sources. This one's the old farmer's almanac for 2026. I don't know why I buy this. I guess I just want to feel like I'm doing something. It really, it kind of tells me a little bit. It's got title information, which doesn't really help me. Frost and growing seasons. So like that's here, shows the frost and growing season for me so you look through the chart. It's not really that hard. So West Virginia. See, West Virginia is always down at the bottom because it's WV. So the frost and growing season listed for West Virginia is in Parkersburg, and Parkersburg's probably an hour, depending on which part of Parkersburg, is an hour and a half northeast of me. It says the growing season is 186 days. So 186 days, that's when you start thinking, okay, when I plant the seed outside, okay, not counting if you start them indoors. Once they go outside, on average, there's 186 days in our growing season. The first frost, this is the last frost, is generally April 20th. So they use an average. So it could be before then, or it could be after them. You know how averages work. And then the first frost of fall. That's hard to say. First frost of fall is generally around October 24th. So right before Halloween here in the United States, we're going to have our first frost. And just before the first day of spring, which is odd because I had it in my mind that West Virginia's average last frost was in May, but this says April. So this frost and growing season, you're going to use this to just, from the time when the back of your seed package, for those of you who don't know, and I know there's some of you guys who do know, and you're like, oh my gosh, will you shut up? For those of you who don't know, on the back of your seed package, it will tell you, the germination period and how long it takes for your fruit or vegetable to mature. So if it's a tomato, when you're going to start getting good tomatoes fruit off of it, if it's kale, let's say, when it's large enough to eat, to cut down. And so that has to fall. You want that to fall within that time frame so that you can harvest. Now, with a tomato plant, you're harvesting more than one tomato. But with spinach, if you cut the whole plant down, that plant's not going to come back. So you use this to plan a little bit. There's some cutesy, folksy stuff in here too. Some old time information, table of measures, metric conversions, title corrections and time corrections. So if something in this book says it starts at 8 o'clock, you might flip back to the time correction and see what the time correction is for your city. Let's see. So it tells you what time zone code you're in and all kinds of stuff. It gives you a little glossary of time, what a leap second is, what mean solar time is, what Greenwich Mean Time means. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in here, I guess, if you don't know. There's some odd little things in here, like Secrets of the Zodiac, which doesn't strike me as any fun because Zodiac is not my thing. It gives you average weather predictions, like this one says Intermountain. So the Intermountains, it gives you averages for the month, average temperatures, average rainfall. It's something good to really. I mean, if you get this, and like I said, there's one of the publishers went out of business. I don't know if it was this one or not, but there's another one. There's another one out there. So it does give you some. If you're new to all of this, homesteading, container gardening, even though this is usually talking about in the ground stuff. It does give you a lot of good basic information if you didn't get it in school. And it also tells you, it gives you averages for each calendar month. That's right. So for January, it tells you when the sunrise is, when the sunset is, what time. Well, that's what that is. The length of the day, but if you could do that math yourself, usually it tells you when the moon is going to rise. And astronomy, if you're into astronomy, it tells you, or astrology, it tells you that stuff too. High tides, when the sun goes down. And that gives you a little information for each day. So, like this one says Orthodox Christmas in the Julian calendar is the 7th day of January, which is on a Wednesday. And the moon is a quarter, I think it's a quarter. My eyes are bad. And it's at Libra. I don't know what that means. I don't know. But there are people who plant by the signs. They'll read this book and they'll only plant root vegetables when the moon's new, and they'll only plant things that grow above ground when the moon's full. Then there's some little, just generic sayings and different stuff, and lots of advertisements. It's a fun little thing to have around. You're probably bored with me talking about it. I also use, I subscribe. The West Virginia Department of Agriculture has a publication called the Market Bulletin, which you can get online or in print. I get the print version because I like to carry it around. I like to have it with me to flip through things and look at stuff. And this is, does it have this is the December edition. And it just has some basic stuff. Always has a message from our Commissioner of Agriculture. He's an independently elected member of the state government. It's Kent Leonhardt this time. He's Board of Public Works is what I was struggling to find, the word Board of Public Works. So I don't know if every state does it, but our state does. There's a certain number of state officials that are elected on the ballot. They're not appointed by the governor. The governor is one of them. So he always has a message. There's a short piece on winter livestock care in here. There's a few recipes in here. We have a program called West Virginia Grown. I don't know if every state has it, but I know there's a few other states that have similar programs. They're named a little different, but this one is West Virginia Grown. You can register to be a part of it, and you can sell your goods at farm markets and stuff as part of it. They help publicize it. It's a marketing thing for agriculture. Like here's one, Markham Mountain Farms. So he's got a full page in this month's bulletin, and it talks about his farm and how he got it going. It's a hydroponics farm, and he talks about it. There talks about some government programs like West Virginia Department of Agriculture Rural Rehabilitation Loan Program. There's in this one, it's talking about a boxwood tree moth, a new invasive pest. And it talks about what they look like. I don't think I've seen one of those. I don't know if you can see it or not either. So it gives you some agriculture, and it's a nice publication. There's no charge to it. You register for it online, and they send it to you. They recently had a series of FFA awards. They've got all that listed in there. Agribusiness, Christmas Farms, Conservation Farms of the Year. I used to work for the State Conservation Agency. Back from 2000 to 2007, I worked there. I started as a administrative assistant and worked my way up to a legislative specialist, and I was helping. I didn't create the legislation, so I wasn't sitting there creating new legislation, but I helped draft it. in electronic form and get it submitted to the Secretary of State's office. And I worked with the different committees that were uh, putting the legislation together. So I was a legislative specialist there. And then I left in 2007. And we won't go into why, but it's okay. It's okay. But I'm still fond of the agriculture community. So in the back of this, it has sales, classified announcements for ag things, apiary, cattle sales, goat sales, plant wants. Somebody wants some burley tobacco seed, poultry sales, sheep sales, miscellaneous sales, which are livestock brought in, dog type things, maple syrup equipment, hay, actual maple syrup, hauling trailers, blue healers, more hay, red Australian healers, sorghum syrup. And then the grazing conference. I used to go to the grazing conference as administrative support to the grazing committee. Because that's what I did when I worked there. And then my favorite part of this particular publication is the garden calendar, which I look at it and then immediately forget. But so this is, let's see. Where you at? Oh, there you are here. This is the December garden calendar for you guys down here. You're not going to be able to see very good there. And it's backwards too. So. But it talks about in December, it tells you some of the things, it gives you an idea, helps you plan how to handle your garden. In December, on the 1st, we should have protected our shrubs from harsh winter weather, which has been kind of mild so far. Here we've had a couple of good freezes, but not steady days of freeze. Mulch hybrid roses on the 3rd. Overwinter spinach and Swiss chard. Mulch perennial herbs, harvest high tunnel carrots and lettuce. I'm going to try that. I'm going to try some manner of a high tunnel. Now, these high tunnels that they're talking about are really big, like house size for big farms. I want to try some kind of high tunnel that just grab my hair. Some kind of high tunnel for my container garden. Store leftover and saved seed in cool, dry place. Participate in the seed swap. Turn your compost on December 17th. So, turn your compost. So, compost is an interesting thing too, because I have, and it was given to me. It's a compost barrel, and it's on a triangle frame, and you spin it. So you open the latches, you dump your vegetable materials or vegetative materials in there, and then you latch the lid, but then you spin it. It doesn't have a handle, but so I have to turn it myself. And every time I go out there and put something in it, I give it 4 or 5 turns and let it go. And it did very well. I was able to amend some of my soil this fall with compost. Plant live Christmas trees on December 26th. So I missed that. I don't grow Christmas trees anyway. I'm not seeing any questions, so I'm just going to keep rambling. If you don't ask a question, I can't answer them. Oops, I shouldn't have done that. No, I'm not trying to make any money. So then, day before yesterday, I think it was. Today is Wednesday. I think it was Monday. The first sign of spring showed up in my mailbox. So this is a seed catalog. And it's the first one I've got for this season. It's not the first one I've gotten this calendar year, but it's the first one I got this season. And I've already looked. Now, I have a bunch of seeds, and if they're still good, I won't need to buy any for a while because I saved seeds from stuff that I was growing. Here's one for popcorn. We eat a lot of popcorn, Mr. Holstein and I do. So I'm not sure how much would have to grow to have a quart jar of popcorn. But I remember my grandfather talking about trying to shuck popcorn, and he wasn't a fan. So tomatoes, tomato cages, you can end up spending a lot of money on a garden, just like with your chickens and ducks. The idea is to have free eggs, but it costs a lot of money to get them started. not always. I mean, you can be given, materials that you can make a chicken coop with and stuff, but eventually you're going to have to put some money in it. And the feed that really, if you don't live on a big lot, like an acre or more, you really should supplement your chickens because they're not going to be able to eat well, especially in the winter. And in order to be healthy and to get everything they need good food. So I don't worry. I'm not freaking out about, strictly 100% pasture raised chickens. My chickens are free ranged, but they have store bought food. Okay. I give them, I put out fresh, feed for them every day. I give them a handful of scratch every morning. In the winter, I give them a little extra protein with peanuts. You get shelled peanuts at the Tractor Supply, and I'll throw a handful out for them because they need a little extra. Especially a lot of times, chickens are molting in the winter, which sounds stupid because like it's 0 outside and they're called reptiles. But they do. And so the chickens I have now some of them are molting. And so they need extra protein to help with the development of their feathers. But what brought me to that was you can spend a lot of money on your garden unnecessarily. So there's these tomato cages, which are sweet. I'd love to have them. They're square. But your tomatoes will do just fine with a stake as long as you take care of them, or in a round cage if you want to get those. Those are cheap too. Because this thing this says fully supports plants without pruning, featuring 8 legs made of heavy gauged wire, sturdy enough to support mature plants, loaded with fruit. Provides generous growing area over 3.5 cubic feet, can be stacked one on top of another to accommodate even the most vigorous climbers. Package includes 2 48-inch tall cages. And you know how much they want? $43.99 US. No, thank you. There are some awesome aroma tomato varieties in here that I would like to try because my aromas they didn't do very well, and I'm sure that was my fault. But I don't have very many, so excuse me. I had a couple of each variety of plants, so I didn't have rows of Jersey Devils and rows of aromas. So I don't really want that anyway, but I'd like to have more aroma. Heirloom Rainbow Blend. I may bite the bullet on that one. They're $2.39 a packet right now. I might send for some of those because I just like the idea. The problem with heirloom, and it's not a problem if you can manage it. The problem with heirlooms is they're susceptible to all kind of diseases, and you don't want that. If they get the diseases and the bugs and the worms and things, and you can't keep on them, it's just a waste of money. So, I like the idea of heirloom. I really do. But in the end, I want to feed my family. So I don't think some of the modern versions of plants are that bad. I mean, yeah, but if I grow them myself, I know more about what's going into the growing them. They're not getting aerial sprayed by some computer driven, or not as well. No, I guess you use a combiner, but you put a different attachment on it and then it sprays all the, so it's not going to be like that, but, heirloom tomatoes, heirloom anything. Would I rather? Yeah, but the reality is I probably wouldn't get much back from them. My watch is telling me it's time to stand up. I'm sitting too long. So yeah, and there's a lot of things in here that are nice. I don't grow cucumbers. I've done that before. We don't eat them. I get indigestion from them. I don't like them. I don't make pickles. I don't eat much pickles, so it doesn't make sense for me to grow a bunch. It doesn't make sense for me to spend the $2 for seeds for pickle plants. Start plants in some soil that's going to cost me. Grow them with water, which a lot of my water is catch water, rainwater that I've caught from the roof that I put on them. There's some city water, but mostly it's rainwater. but and go through all that labor and stuff for just a couple of jars of pickles. No. Eggplants. I tried eggplants before, didn't do very well. I think the container wasn't the right size for them. I think they need a bigger container than what I had. Oh, and there's container varieties too. I have I took a 3-inch binder and I put those little plastic baseball card holding sleeves where you get like 3 or 6 or whatever baseball cards down them, and I put my seed packets down in those so that I can have them put away downstairs where it's cool and they're dark. I have several packets that I got from the local feed store, not the big store, but the local feed store, that are specifically designed for containers. And I did well with most of those last year. The squash plant's what reminded me. I bought a squash plant from a neighbor here who was selling. She has a little store. She used to do a lot more with her store, but she does more with her grandkids now. And I bought a squash plant from her. Actually, I had to buy 6 because that's how she had them packed. So that's another thing. When you buy them, if you buy 6 and you don't need 6, what are you going to do? And they didn't do that well. Squash bugs got them. Pest netting tunnel. That's what I need to create. So, stop fighting with insects, birds, and rodents. Our unique pest netting tunnel allows for easy setup, perfect height for protecting your plants, and is durable enough to keep out even the most insidious critters. They're not critters if they're bothering your stuff. They're varmints. Critters are the ones you like. Varmints are the ones you don't like. Sun and water pass through with ease while ending the battle between gardeners and pests once and for all. 16 feet, 4 inches by 25 inches by 18 inches. Oh, no, yeah. 16 foot, 4 inches by 25 inches. By 25 by 18. I'm not sure why there's that many. But anyway, this thing, they want $26.39 for that. I'll have to check. I don't know if that's a good deal or not. Soil analyzer. We'll probably use one of those. Deer netting. I don't have deer to worry about. I do have rats to worry about. We had a neighbor. Some of you guys, again, I'm sorry. I'm Robin Holstein, and this is Holstein House. If it's the first time you've stopped by here and you've managed this long, or you come in the middle, or whatever happens, that's who I am, and I'm glad to have you here. I'm coming up on. I can't see it. I can't see it. I can't see it. No, cancel. Don't do that. Don't do that. Oh, shoot. Hopefully that didn't kick me off. Coming up on an hour, and I'm going to cut it off here in a few minutes. Lots of loofah. Yes, Jessica, lots of loofah, but that was a while back. I missed that. So, oh, darn it. See, I try to do stuff. This is where I need this is where I need somebody to run things for me. Anyway, I usually have a container garden, and that's what I've been talking about. I lost my train of thought. I am so sorry. So if you're just getting here for the first time, I'm Robin Holstein, and this is Holstein House. It's my small homestead. It's a 1920s home. We have a lot of not antique in the gosh, they cost a lot and should be behind glass kind of things. We have a lot of antique things, a lot of period things. I do have a room that I rent direct book or through Airbnb. When the calendar's open, the calendar hadn't been open that much this year. I have chickens and ducks. I do sell the eggs. I have dogs and cats. I don't sell them. And I do a container garden just about every year. I do home food preservation. I dehydrate. I home can, freeze, obviously. And I've got lots of videos out there on all kinds of different things. And we're gearing up. Just taking a look back and a look forward. So I could keep going through this book, but I'm not going to because we're really coming up on an hour. I want to finish that up. I want to finish up, and I really appreciate you being with me today. And those of you guys down in Clapper, I want to thank you guys for being there as well. This is the first real video that I've done specifically with you live. So the coming year, I'm going to be redoing, and it's a constant process. You never get exactly what you want. Something always happens. A tree falls, a fence comes down, something passes away, something happens. You got to change things. So it's never 100% always the same exactly. But the coming year, I'll be doing some a few. I don't know if I'll do different vegetables, but I'll be doing them. I've got a different idea of how I'm going to set the garden up, the container garden, based on some things that I noticed last year. We added a couple more chickens and a couple more ducks this year. So hopefully we'll have, that's a lot. Oh, I don't know where it's going. I was talking about in the varmints versus critters. But we had a neighbor last year that lived we have like a 12-foot alley between us, and they lived on the property out behind, and they decided they were going to homestead with pigs and goats and chickens and ducks. Okay, fine. But they didn't know what they were doing. They ended up divorcing, I believe, or at least separating. They don't live there now. She left. There were at one point 30 pigs, and this is a suburban lot. Pigs were getting out. The fence was down. They were running the community. They destroyed a lot of property. And then a nonprofit came in. Thank you very much to that nonprofit, and took those pigs out of there. Well, once the pigs went out, once the lady left, once the people, whoever's there now, are no longer raising any kind of animal that I know of, the rats needed someplace to eat. So the rats were coming into my chicken run, not in the coop. We'll talk about the coop later. It would be difficult for them to get in the coop. So I tried several different methods of getting rid of these rats, and I ended up having to bait them with rat poison. And I didn't want to do that. I tried a couple different methods, and we'll talk about that another time. But so once they hauled all those animals out of there, the rats had nowhere else to go. So my chicken run was the next best place. But we got that under control, I think, and done with. I haven't seen any signs of them for 5 or 6 days. At one point, I had 12 rat baits, big rat baits out, and they took 6 of them. That wasn't the first night either. Like the third night, I said, I'm done, and I put 12 of them out. They took 6 of them. The next night, they took 2. The next night, they took 0. So I think they're gone. Anyway, you can find me in lots of places. You can go to robinholstein.com and find me there. You can go to YouTube, Robin Holst. They use my middle initial over there. I think it's just Robin Holstein over there. I'm on Rumble at Holstein House and Robin Holstein over on Rumble. I'm on X. I'm on all the places. Go to robinholstein.com and go to the contacts page, and you'll see links for all kinds of things. I have been working the past couple of days on rebuilding. I used to have like a kind of sort of email thing set up. I'm getting that back together. So keep an eye on robinholstein.com, the contacts page specifically. I will put a specific link there to sign up for the newsletter as soon as I get it finished. It's just me. I've got my arms in all kinds of things. So it's hard for me to carve out time to get that done. Once it's done, it'll be great. I'm going to have a free PDF download for you for some tips that'll make it worth signing up for. Then hopefully, if things work out the way I plan, there'll be regular but not too frequent updates, because even though right now we don't see a lot of cancellations out, canceling in cancel culture kind of stuff. If you want to stay in contact with me, then we need a way to stay in contact that can't be canceled. And one of those ways is through email. I have a Nostr account. I have an X account. I have Clapper. I have TikTok, although I can't go live on TikTok because they want copies of stuff that I don't want to give them. But anyways, this is the best way to get a hold of me, is to go to robinholstein.com. And I really enjoyed it today. I want to wrap it up. I want to make sure that, we're right at an hour, few seconds over. So we'll finish this up now. Thank you so much for spending time with me. If you came by live, be sure to hit those likes and subscribes and all that stuff. If you come by and catch it later, hit the likes and subscribes and all that stuff. Help me rebuild the algorithm so that I can get back out there. I was very close to 300 followers. I know that doesn't sound like very many at all on YouTube, but I was hoping to roll that over really soon. So I'd really, like everybody else, I want to have a few thousand and make it great, but it's okay. It's okay. So thank you again for being there, and I will see you next year. Bye-bye.
So there you have it. Post your comments, do all that boosting, liking, sharing, thumbs up, and stuff that helps spread the word and poke the algorithms. Follow me on most of the big social media platforms and look for my name, Robin Holstein, or Holstein House. Till next time, bye-bye.